Good evening.
We cannot have that bottle here, sorry. We can't have Oh. Okay, we'll leave it there. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's well. We're ready to go. We'll kick off with Alex from the BBC.
Hello.
A couple of days since the first loss in 18 games on Saturday. How have the team reacted and what's the reason like?
Yeah, it was strange because we didn't lose that many. But it's, I think, a moment as well to reflect and have some perspective about what we are doing. First of all, when you look at the reaction of the players when they are on the floor and the pain and what I felt in that moment seeing them, because I know how much they put in and how much they wanted. It is difficult, but as well is a reflection of who we are and what we want to get. And this has to help us to be a better team, to learn the lesson, to value what we are doing, first of all, as well, because with all the difficulties that we have from the start of the season, where we are in the position where we are, both in the Champions League and the Premier League, is where we want to be, and understand that you have to earn it every single day, and the margins are very, very small.
Sometimes it can not be ideal to have a game so close because of recovery and injuries, but in this case, is it a good thing so you can get back to winning ways?
Absolutely, and especially when you play a competition like the Champions League, and how much we want to continue to do the job that we have started in the first 5 games. And tomorrow we're going to have a really tough match against an opponent here that, especially at home, has been very, very good. They have a new manager. A new manager always brings new energy, new ideas. So we have prepared for that as well. And tomorrow we have to show again that that we are right at the top and be better than the opponent to beat them.
Gabriel Jesus has been brought back into the Champions League squad in place of Max Dowman because of an injury. Can you tell us about that situation and also the injury to Max?
Yeah, so first of all, with Max, unfortunately, he picked an injury last weekend, and he had to come off, so we did some scans, and he's going to be out for weeks. And then we have the situation of Gabi, which we expect him to be training with us by the end of December, but Gabi's been pushing every single day, and he kept telling everybody, I'm going to be earlier, and he's done it. So thanks to his work and all the work that the medical staff have done with him throughout these months, and we had the possibility to make a swap there. We've done it, and yeah, once you see obviously Max and his situation, and the other one see obviously the joy and how happy Gabi is to be back in this competition with us.
And just finally, from me on Declan Rice, William Saliba and they weren't pictured in training today. Are they available for the game tomorrow?
No. So Declan was ill, so he was quite sick after the game already, and he hasn't traveled with us. William is still not available, and Leo again, he picked another knock in an area where he had the previous issue, and I don't expect that it's going to be long, but unfortunately he cannot be with us.
Okay, question here from the guy.
Hi, Coach. How did you follow the recent events at Bruges with the new manager, and did it came as a surprise for you guys, and does it affect your preparations?
Yeah, well, obviously you start to look at all the games and analyze the manager and their identity, and obviously the last performance that they had both in the Champions League and in domestic competition. And in the afternoon we get the news that they have a new manager. So you have to adapt. It's not the first time that we are facing this situation. So, okay, start to think about what the possibilities are, look at his past, and start to obviously focus much more in what we have to do, have the key things that we have to do to be able to adapt in relation to what they do, especially in terms of the formation and the players that they're going to pick, and after focus in ourselves what we have to do to be better than them to win the game.
Injury crisis deepens for Arsenal. Rice, Saliba, and Dowman ruled out ahead of Club Brugge as Gabriel Jesus returns. As Arsenal prepare to face Club Brugge in Belgium, manager Mikel Arteta confirms key absences. Declan Rice, sidelined by illness, William Saliba still unavailable, and teenager Max Dowman out for weeks with an ankle injury. In brighter news, Gabriel Jesus is back in the Champions League squad. This article examines the latest on Arsenal's injury woes, what it reveals about the squad's depth and physical demands, and how it impacts the upcoming clash in Bruges. Pre-match backdrop, a mounting injury headache at Arsenal. As the 2025-26 season hurtles toward a congested winter schedule, Arsenal find themselves grappling with a worsening injury crisis. With multiple competitions on the line, Premier League, Champions League, domestic cups, the physical toll is becoming increasingly evident. Ahead of their Champions League fixture against Club Brugge, Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta has admitted that the club is in a dangerous circle of injuries, fatigue, and fixture overload. The demands placed on remaining fit players, forced to cover for the absentees, only risk creating more problems. That sets the scene for a tense few days. A must-win tie in Belgium, but with a patched-up squad and several first-team regulars unavailable. The key absentees: Rice, Saliba, and Dowman. Rice, illness forces him out. Perhaps the most immediate blow comes in midfield. Arteta confirmed that Declan Rice was ill, and thus did not travel with the squad to Belgium. According to Arteta, Rice fell sick after the recent game against Aston Villa and has been given a few days to rest and recover. Given the fatigue and injury burden already present in the squad, losing Rice is a significant setback. Not only was he a key midfield anchor, but his fitness and availability were central to Arsenal's plans amid this congested fixture run. William Saliba, still unavailable. Defensively, Arsenal are already thin. Arteta confirmed that William Saliba remains out and unavailable for the trip to Bruges. Saliba picked up a knock some weeks ago, and while initial reports suggested only a minor issue, the club have apparently opted to keep him sidelined to manage risk. With Saliba out, the burden on the central defense increases, and the margin for error shrinks significantly, especially away from home in a pivotal Champions League tie. Max Dowman, teenager's ankle injury rules him out for weeks. The latest twist comes from the club's youngest rising star. The 15-year-old, who made headlines recently for becoming the youngest player to feature in a Champions League match for Arsenal, has suffered an ankle injury. According to Arteta, scans revealed the injury is serious enough to keep him out for weeks. Consequently, Arsenal removed him from their UEFA A list and replaced him with senior forward Gabriel Jesus, a decision signifying how just critical the club now views the upcoming match. It's a tough moment for Dowman, who had just broken through in spectacular fashion, but the club seemed to be taking no risks, perhaps mindful of a long-term development plan. The return of Gabriel Jesus, a silver lining amid the crisis. Amid all the negative news, there is at least one boost. Gabriel Jesus has been added back into Arsenal's Champions League squad ahead of the Bruges tie. Jesus, who had suffered an ACL injury back in January, had been expected to return at the end of December, but thanks to his work and all the work the medical staff have done, he has recovered faster than initially anticipated. Arteta acknowledged this as a positive development. He said, "We had the possibility to make a swap there," referring to replacing Dowman with Jesus. While it remains to be seen whether Jesus will start against Bruges, his inclusion provides a vital reinforcement at a time when squad depth is being severely tested. Arteta's response, denying overtraining, warning of a vicious cycle. At the press conference ahead of the Club Brugge match, Arteta was asked whether the rash of injuries pointed to overtraining. His response was firm, "No, because we don't have time to train. Today we've done 20 minutes, so surely it's not because we overtrained the players." But he admitted that the real problem was the modern football calendar. When you're missing players, you're loading other players, and there's a consequence to that. It's a really dangerous circle. Arteta emphasized how the constant need to rotate and compensate for absentees places enormous physical and mental strain on everyone involved, a burden that seems increasingly difficult to manage as injuries mount. He warned that the accumulation of short and long-term injuries could derail Arsenal's ambitions this season, particularly with key goals still in sight across multiple competitions. What this means for the Club Brugge clash. With Rice, Saliba, and Dowman out, and several other first-teamers, such as Christian Mosquera, Gabriel Magalhaes, Kai Havertz, and Leandro Trossard, already unavailable, the squad that travels to Belgium is a far cry from what many fans expected when the group was drawn. Depending on final selection, Arteta may have to rely heavily on youngsters and fringe players or reshuffle positions, for example, playing a more makeshift defense and midfield, while hoping returning players like Jesus can provide a spark up front. If Arsenal managed to win in Bruges under these conditions, it would speak volumes about their squad resilience, mentality, and depth. But the risk is clear. One setback, a red card, a mistake, an injury, could tilt the balance, given the thin margins. Moreover, given Arteta's repeated warnings about overuse and scheduling, this match may force the club to make difficult decisions, push players close to fitness now for a European result, or prioritize longer-term health and depth for what remains of the season. The bigger picture, is this a one-time crisis or a systemic issue? What is happening in Arsenal currently doesn't feel like a temporary blip. Losing multiple first-team regulars simultaneously across defense, midfield, and attack suggests structural strain. The packed fixture list, involvement in multiple competitions, and high stakes almost guarantee that players will be asked to shoulder heavy loads. Arteta's candid remarks about a dangerous circle are hardly hyperbole. Every absence forces others to do more. Every rushing back from injury increases risk. Every short turnaround between games increases fatigue. When such a system becomes the norm, injuries accumulate, as we're witnessing now. The rise of young players like Dowman is both a blessing and a challenge. While it offers opportunities for talent development, it also risks burning out youngsters or exposing them to intense pressure too early. Even with Jesus returning, Arsenal's depth will be tested in the coming weeks. And the way they manage these absences, rotating carefully, protecting players, and planning recovery, could make the difference between success and collapse across competitions. What fans and observers are saying, glimpses from the community. Within fan circles, example on forums and social media, there's frustration, but also a mix of hope and realism. Some supporters welcome the chance for fringe players and youngsters to step up, while others express concern over the lack of cover and the club's heavy reliance on a shrinking core of fit players. One Reddit comment summed up the mood after Arteta's announcement. "I think he's just resting players instead of saying that he's giving them short injuries." Another added, referring to Dowman's setback, "Of all the injuries we should care about, this is firmly on the meh list." These reactions illustrate how fans are trying to balance realism, injuries happen, with optimism. Youth will grow, and maybe we can still do it. Still, many express concern that repeating the same patterns, overuse, injuries, barely recovered players, may lead to long-term damage, burnout, or even a slide in performance as the season progresses. Conclusion. A pivotal moment for Arsenal, and a test of resolve. As Arsenal travel to Belgium to face Club Brugge, they do so under a cloud of uncertainty. Key players are missing, and the squad will be stretched. But there is also a spark of hope, the return of Gabriel Jesus, the possibility of younger players stepping up, and the resilience the club has shown throughout the season so far. This match may turn into a defining moment, not just for qualification or group position in the Champions League, but also for the mood, trust, and internal strength of the squad. If Arsenal can navigate this with poise and minimal damage, it will send a strong message that despite injuries and challenges, the club remains determined, united, and capable. If not, if further injuries or fatigue force collapse, the consequences could ripple across the rest of the season. In many ways, tomorrow's game in Bruges is more than a fixture. It's a litmus test for Arsenal's capacity to endure.